Okay, so as I'm shooting this review, there is actually a Bourne Marathon on my TV downstairs. So I'm going to try and review this as quickly as I can. I apologize if this feels a little bit rushed, but without further ado, let's do this. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that the Bourne Legacy is no perfect movie. So in the Bourne Legacy, the CIA tasks Eric Byer, played by Edward Norton, with covering up any other illegal Black Ops programs that they have after Jason Bourne exposes Operation Blackbriar. However, an operative named Aaron Cross, played by Jeremy Renner, escapes an assassination attempt while he's in Alaska on a training mission, and he teams up with a doctor named Marta, played by Rachel Weisz, who is being hunted down by the CIA as well because she manufactures these drugs called chems that can enhance physical and intellectual abilities, and Cross needs those drugs in order to avoid having withdrawal. Now, Jeremy Renner gives a good performance as Aaron Cross, and he pretty much makes this character interesting. Because even though Aaron Cross is a somewhat reckless and carefree CIA agent, he's gone off the grid before, he's on this mission in Alaska more or less as a punishment, and he asks a lot of questions to his superiors that really piss them off. But it's Renner's screen presence that has a lot of charisma to it, and he dedicates himself a lot to the action scenes, especially in this scene right here. Pretty cool, huh? And Rachel Weisz also makes her character very likable just for her performance. She's not just some useless damsel. When assassins come to kill her, she actually grabs a gun off of a dead assassin and arms herself and defends herself and doesn't trust anyone that comes near her, which is the smart thing to do, obviously. Okay, so Edward Norton is a very capable actor and one of the best actors working today. But in this movie, all he does throughout the entire thing is stare at a bunch of computer screens, looking at Jeremy Renner, and giving other people orders to kill him, and that's pretty much it. And yes, I know that Chris Cooper in the first one, Brian Cox in the second one, and David Strathairn in the third one, they all do those things too. But the difference is, they all have motivations that make them stand out. For example, Strathairn believes that Operation Blackbriar, a program dedicated to murdering people, is essential to saving human lives, whether it be killing off a powerful dictator or other assassin. And the other thing is that the other villains like Cooper and Cox, they were very afraid and very vulnerable to Bourne. In this movie, Edward Norton never really seems afraid of anything. He just looks angry all the time. And his motivation is pretty bland. He just doesn't want to go to jail for these illegal programs that do a lot of damage. I've mentioned this before in my other reviews, but I do think that the shaky cam in the original trilogy really adds to the kinetic energy and the practicality of the action scenes in the original trilogy. In this movie, it's a little bit different. Sometimes the action has some really clear and steady shots, particularly when assassins come to Marta's house and Cross has to rescue her. But there are other times, like the climactic motorcycle chase in, I think it was India or something like that, where it's a lot shaky and it's very quick cut. Like, for example, they'll always cut after every hit, which I'm not really a big fan of because as soon as they cut right on impact, you don't actually see the hit. It's just like, cut, cut, and you never really feel the weight of the hit. And on top of that, and this is the biggest complaint that I've heard from a lot of Bourne fans, that Jeremy Renner is just too physically strong. Now, when I first heard about that, I was like, well, I don't know, like, Bourne takes out a lot of other people in, like, 2 seconds max, especially in, like, the very first 2 movies. But at the same time, Bourne is not like a superhuman. He doesn't take drugs or anything like that. He has actual physical strength, actual intellectual abilities, and in the other movies, like, say, Kirill from Bourne Supremacy or Desh from Bourne Ultimatum, they're an actual challenge, and they actually hit him and knock him down a few times, and he actually has to fight back. In Bourne Legacy, The only real time Renner is in any real danger is because he got flu from an injection to make him immune to withdrawal or something like that. Yeah, he has flu in the middle of a motorcycle chase. Aside from that, he'll kick your ass in like 2 seconds without even breaking a sweat. But for me, the biggest problem with this movie is actually the story. It's very shallow, and it kind of pretty much goes against what the other trilogy stood for. In the original trilogy, it was all about Bourne finding answers and exposing them to the public in order to atone for the fact that he was part of those programs. And in this movie, Norton is killing off government agents for his own selfish needs and for people like David Strathairn and Albert Finney to get away with Operation Blackbriar and place the blame on Pam Landy, which is a very deep and horrible thing. And what does Aaron and Marta do about it? They inject him with a virus so that he can avoid withdrawals, stay strong without much effort into it, and just run away. Yeah, they don't expose any government secrets or anything, they just, run away. That's essentially it. And the weird thing is, if this is the Bourne Legacy, how come one operative is the only survivor in all of this? Because you see him and Oscar Isaac, who gives a good performance with, the few minutes that he's in a cabin. Why didn't, they team up? They find other operatives who survived their assassination attempts, and they, team up together to expose this corruption. They can have each different backstories that set them apart. They can have different specialties that can contribute to the story and the action scenes. So say someone has to break into a building, you can have one guy on a sniper, and he shoots out evil CIA agents while the other guy is finding other evil CIA agents in the building, and when they're done doing that, a third guy can show up, be the getaway driver, and they can have a really cool car chase. It would still be a little bit different from the other movies, I get that, but it can still have the tone and feel of the original movie, and still have the themes of exposing corruption within our government, which this movie really doesn't address in all honesty. There were so many possibilities to expand the Bourne universe. I just mentioned that whole thing about other assassins teaming up to form their own Black Ops team and expose the corruption. I think that would have been a really good idea. But the story in this movie, I don't think was a good way to expand upon this universe. Renner and the other actors, to their credit, are trying to add some depth. There are some okay action set pieces. There's, like the other movies, there's a lack of CGI. And the James Newton Howard score, in my opinion, is a very good score. But the action scenes are not as impressive. The characters really don't have any depth, and it's up to the actors to do all the work. The story pretty much goes against what the others were about, and in all honesty, it really just doesn't feel like a Jason Bourne movie because, well, there's no Jason Bourne or anything like that. So, it's those reasons that I'm going to give The Bourne Legacy a 2.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching, and thank you so much for sticking around for my Jason Bourne reviews. I'm going to have my Jason Bourne review for the sequel coming up either this upcoming Friday or Saturday. Definitely check that out then. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.